Hi. Today let's know different types of zones available in Sophos Firewall. Power on your virtual machine PNet Lab. Open browser. Type PNet Lab URL and press enter. Now you are in PNet Lab login page. Here, give credential and login. Select the project and click on Open. Power on Sophos Firewall. Power on the PC. OK. Single click on PC and go to the download folder and click on download file and connect it. Here we are taking the PC remotely by using remote desktop connection, that is RDP. Click on user and give password as test123. Then click on login. Open the browser and type the URL. Fill up the credential and log in to the Sophos Firewall. We will discuss about network zones. That comes under network in the configuration section. Before entering into network, I will give you some basic knowledge about zones. This is one network diagram in which we have three different zones. So, what is a zone? Zones are nothing but the logical grouping of physical ports that can be assigned to one or more clients. That means we can combine one or more than one physical ports into a single logical group. So from the above discussion we conclude that Sophos XG Firewall is a zone-based firewall. That is the most important part of Sophos XG Firewall. Here, we are separating secure zone, highly secure zone and unsecured zone from each other. This is because to protect our local area network and our servers, which is a part of local area network from WAN, which is an unsecured zone. We can't control this zone. In this example, we have three different zones. These are LAN zone, server zone and WAN zone. Here, we are combined two different departments, that are HR department and IT department, into a single logical zone, that is LAN zone. This is because to secure our local area network. Another zone is server zone, which comes under highly secure zone, which is a part of LAN zone. In this zone we have some publicly accessed servers. That's why we are separating this zone from other zones. In both the zones, the beauty is that all the clients are connected to firewall in different physical ports, but logically they are combined into two separate zones. Those are LAN zone and server zone respectively. Next one is WAN zone. Here our firewall is directly connected to internet. That comes under unsecured zone. Now come to our firewall. These are the interfaces. And under that these are interfaces types, which is very similar to physical appliance. First one is guest AP. That is wireless interfaces. If we have Sophos access point, then we can configure it. Currently we don't have any Sophos access point. Below that we have different ports like port A, port B, port C, etc., which are also similar to our physical appliance. Here port A is our LAN port and port B is our WAN port. Rest of the ports are not configured. Next one is zone. Here we have 5 types of zone: LAN zone, WAN zone, DMZ zone, VPN zone, Wi-Fi zone. These are all default zone of Sophos firewall. We cannot delete it. First one is LAN zone. Port A is a member of LAN zone. In this zone, ping, HTTPS, SSH, SSL VPN, web proxy, user portal, SMTP relay, SNMP, captive portal, radius so are enabled. We can edit it. Here network type, LAN. And port A is the member of LAN zone. And in device access, HTTPS and SSH are enabled. HTTPS is enabled, that means we can access the firewall from web browser. We can access it by using web console. If we disable it, we cannot connect it by using web console from our LAN zone. Okay. Next one SSH, which is enabled. That means we can access it by using SSH. Let's check it. For that, download and install PuTTY in your PC, which comes under LAN zone. Give the IP address. This is our IP address. Put it here. And open. Give username and password. Then enter. Now you are logged in to Sophos Firewall by using SSH, which is also known as Admin Console. Now let's disable SSH and save it. Once again try to connect our firewall using SSH through PuTTY. Now it gives us error unable to connect. Next one is authentication services. Under that, client authentication is enabled. If you want to give user authentication in LAN zone, then you can enable client authentication. Otherwise disable it. Another one, captive portal. Captive portal is one type of web browser authentication system that requires users behind the firewall to authenticate while accessing the websites. Simple, we can say, when any user try to access a website, then a login page will be displayed. After giving appropriate credentials, user can access the website. In this case, the user must be a captive portal member of firewall. Otherwise, captive portal login fails and the page will be automatically redirected to the captive portal login page. You can enable or disable the captive portal inside LAN zone. If you disable captive portal, then captive portal login page will not pop up. AD/SSO stands for Active Directory Single Sign-On. This is one type of authentication mechanism system that is available in Sophos Firewall. It is completely related to Active Directory. If we have Active Directory server, then only we can migrate AD users in Sophos Firewall for authentication purpose. Remember, we are discussing AD/SSO for LAN zone. We have separate video for all these. Then Radius SSO. Remote Authentication Dial-in User Service, that is Radius SSO, is a client-server networking protocol. If we have Radius server, then easily we can manage it by enabling or disabling Radius SSO in LAN zone. Chromebook SSO. For that, configure G Suite for communication with XG Firewall. Then enable or disable Chromebook SSO. Under Network Services, DNS is enabled. That is Domain Name Service. Let us check what happens. Open command prompt and check for NS lookup. Now NS lookup is success. Check MS lookup for yahoo.com and google.com. In both the case, NS lookup success. Now disable DNS and save. Check for NS lookup. Here, request time is out. Similarly, let us check MS lookup for yahoo.com and google.com. In both the cases, request time is out. Disable ping. Save and check. Open command prompt and ping to firewall IP address, that is 172.16.16.16. Here you will get request timeout. Once again, enable ping. Save and check. Ping to firewall. In this case, we will get reply from firewall. That means ping is successful. You can enable or disable web proxy. Because Sophos XG firewall is a proxy-based firewall, that is transparent proxy. Also disable or enable SSL VPN. In the same way, if you have Sophos access point, then you can enable or disable wireless protection within the LAN zone. You can enable or disable user portal in LAN zone. In the browser, type https 172.16.16.16:443. Then, user portal login page open. If your are created individual users in Firewall, then you can access Firewall individually by sign in to user portal. By using this, you can see internet traffic, download client authentication, download SSL VPN clients, SSL VPN configurations, etc. If you disable this, user portal will not open. Let's check for it. If it is disabled, then dynamic routing will not work inside LAN zone. If this one is disabled, then you cannot monitor Sophos firewall status by using network monitoring tools like SolarWinds, etc. SNMP stands for Simple Network Management Protocol. This protocol is used by Sophos XG Firewall, which gives access to Sophos firewall information. By enabling SMTP relay, you can protect your email communication. Next one is WAN zone. Here port B is the member of WAN zone. All other things are disabled by default. This is because WAN zone is unsecured zone. Another type of zone is DMZ zone, that is demilitarized zone. Basically, this zone is normally used for publicly accessible servers. For example, web server, etc. Due to security reasons, some features are disabled by default. You can enable or disable it manually. This one is the VPN zone. You cannot edit it manually. Only SNMP service is enabled here in device access column. This will only be active if we configure SSL VPN or IPsec VPN. Therefore, we cannot assign any physical or virtual port to this zone. Next, Wi-Fi zone. If you have Sophos access point, then you can use this zone. That means if you have Sophos Wi-Fi devices, then you can configure this zone. You are using virtual devices, therefore guest app is showing under members column. But this one is unplugged. You can check it from interfaces. In physical firewall, you cannot see any members if you don't have Sophos Wi-Fi. Here you can enable or disable any services. These are the default zones that are available in Sophos XG Firewall, which cannot be deleted but can be edited. Besides that, Sophos Firewall provides facilities to create custom zones. Before creating custom zone, let us open RPNet Lab project. Here I have add one Windows server. Let's connect this server Ethernet port to Sophos Firewall port C. This one is my server zone. This is my LAN zone. Power on server. Go to Sophos portal, then click on Add to create a new zone. Give zone name. In the description section, add description. Here, I give internal server. In type, select one option. If you have publicly access server, then you can select DMZ zone. I choose LAN zone. Here, member none, because currently no port assigned to it. Then select the options as per your requirement. I choose HTTPS, SSH. Then, here I choose captive portal. ADSSO. Then DNS and ping. I also select web proxy. Then save it. Now we have successfully created a new zone, Windows Server. But till now, we have not assigned any port to it. For that, we must go to the interface section. Open PNet Lab. Here our server's Ethernet port is directly connected to the port C of Sophos Firewall. Therefore, we must assign port C to the newly created zone, that is our server zone. So, click here in interface, type C. Then go to Edit Interface. In Network Zone, select Windows Server that was previously created. Then select IPv4. Here I give static IP and subnet mask. You can also choose DHCP. If you have broadband connection, then you must choose DSL. Choose subnet mask by clicking in drop-down menu. Here, gateway section is disabled. This is because we are in LAN zone. This can only be activated if we choose the WAN zone. So do not change it. I just showed you, for your knowledge. Change it as it was previously. Go to Advanced. Under Port Setting, Link Mode Automatic, Auto Negotiation on, Forward Error Correction off. Everything is OK. Next one is Interface Setting. Here you will find MTU. So, what is MTU? MTU stands for Maximum Transmission Unit. That is, the largest data packets that a network can transmit in byte. I am not changing anything here. Click on Save and Update Interface. Now port C is under Windows Zone. This is the static IP address assigned to port C. Let's try to pin 10.1 IP. Yes, we can ping to it. Here, you can ping to this interfaces, which is the member of Windows Server Zone. From Control Center, you can check the status of all the ports. Click here. Port A, Port B and Port C are running ports. Here we do not get any traffic. This is because we did not start the server. Rest of the ports are disabled. This video is all about different types of zones. Thank you.